I'm Jackie.
And I'm Ashley. Welcome back to Dumb Witch Club.
Ooh, a very special episode of Dumb Witch Club tonight.
Mm-hmm.
This is Midsummer Séance.
Love it.
Love this vibe.
The vibes.
Very magical.
We're getting chills already.
Yes, she had chills.
Chills.
And then she had a parched throat.
Parched.
Yes.
I needed my water already.
Yes. So we are welcoming all friendly spirits.
That's right.
into our clubhouse.
I love it. I'm already sensing them here.
Yes. So,
Good stuff.
first things first.
Yes.
Card pull. We have a beautiful deck as usual. Which deck are we using today?
We are using the Passages Oracle deck today.
I love this one.
So do I.
I really love the passages.
Yeah, the imagery of
Yes.
the passageways and everything, same. And it just felt like the right vibe
Absolutely.
for this episode. Do you want to draw or do you want me to draw?
Oh my goodness, I'm on the spot. I want to draw.
You want to draw. I love
Yeah, isn't it like The Price is Right or something? Like, I'll pull I don't even know. I don't watch that show anyways.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to stay on this price or do you want to go or whatever they do?
Yeah. Or what's that other one where they're like, Family Feud. Where it's like, will you play or will you pass? Mm-hmm. We're going to play.
No one ever passes.
No.
And I feel like sometimes they should. I think strategically they should.
Absolutely should.
Yeah, people argue with me about that, but
No, it's totally true. I would pass. I mean, I wouldn't be on it at all.
it's a hard category. Like, let them figure it out. Then you only have to come up with one.
I'd pass on the whole thing.
I pass on this entire show. I'm just going to go.
And then like, why did you
Harvey's like, okay, whatever.
Okay, let's get back into our seance vibes. And let's hope a card can help us do so. Oh, goodness.
Oh.
So this is a fear card. And I dare say, I've pulled this card before.
Yes, you have. I remember the imagery.
From this deck.
Yes, you have. I remember the imagery.
Not too long ago, although I can't say when. I don't remember. My goodness. I mean, I feel like this is appropriate to today, specifically this Midsummer Séance. Because
Absolutely.
obviously there could be a lot of fear involved in not the midsummer part so much as the séance part.
Yeah.
But I also feel like we talked about interpreting this card already. It's like these dark clouds outside, like a window with bars. So I feel like in that sense, the fear is out there and we are in here.
Absolutely. But I'm glad that it feels like a good reminder that, you know, sometimes you are going to feel that fear. There might be fear around something that you don't know, but likely it's because you just don't know yet and you haven't had your own experience with it yet. So, you know, kind of look past that if you can, like break through that fear a little bit if you can. And maybe, you know, what we have to say in tonight's episode will help you to be able to do that.
I hope so, but I have to say, pulling this card has given me a little bit of unease, unfortunately. But I just want to acknowledge that, just say that is present, and yet we will press on.
I mean, I did have chills and I did get parched.
You did. So
You never know.
that's the message from the card.
All right. I guess we shall move on and do a little bit of a why though.
That would be really good right about now.
Yeah.
Because I'm really wondering now. I'm second guessing everything right now.
Oh, goodness. Well, I don't know if the why, though, is going to help you if you're second-guessing everything, but we can give it a shot.
No, I mean, I think it might. It might help a little bit. Let's see. So, what do we have first on deck?
I mean, we've been teasing this. We've been talking about this. But, y'all, it's official. It's official.
It's official. Venus is in Leo as of June 5th. Woohoo!
It is hot girl summer officially.
Yes, I can already feel it. It is helping. It is helping.
I can already feel it. And it's going through the first part of October. So I feel like all of us, like, especially Southern Californians that are like, what is with this? We are not getting summer vibes.
Very true.
Maybe they're just coming later and they're just going to extend a little bit further out.
I do think that's true. I really do have that sense. And in So in terms of Venus, just to say the little bit of the lead up to Venus actually going into Leo, there's a couple things that were interesting. Venus has been out of bounds.
Yes.
Also has been out of bounds. Came back in bounds June 1st. So she's back on track. And June 4th, this is just an interesting little fact, right? The day before she went into Leo. It's called maximum elongation.
Ooh.
And it is, love it. Big fan.
Interesting.
Yeah. That is when a planet is at its furthest distance from the sun.
Okay.
And so it's just a point of if it's out of bounds and it's coming back into bounds, that's what it's at. So she reached maximum elongation and then hit that Leo spot.
I love that.
Yeah, loved it. So.
Maximum elongation. Hit that Leo spot. All right. Love it.
I'm here for it. Super here for it.
Yes.
But yes, to your point, Venus will be in Leo up until the beginning of October because she will do a retrograde within the sign of Leo. So she's going to be here luxuriating and being glorious for a long time.
Yes. Extended hot girl summer.
Extended, elongated. Gosh, yeah. Okay, this is really
all of that.
Amazing.
So great. I love it. That's very Venus and Leo energy.
Ooh, it really is. So that, for me, is the most significant event of the now times.
I love that. Well, there's a couple more things.
No, okay.
A couple more things. None of it is particularly bad. A lot of it's really good. We've got the last quarter moon in Pisces coming up on June 10th.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful.
Love the quarter moons around here. We love Pisces around here. And this one, it's going to be a very kind of releasing energy before, we get to some of the other things that are coming up, which I really like because it's like that last chance to release everything that came up over the last lunar eclipse.
Yes.
Just kind of really, if you didn't have a chance to do that on the last new moon, you can really kind of do it now and put it away, as we're moving forward. And it's that beautiful Pisces water energy.
I love a moon in Pisces.
So do I. It's so perfect. It's such a perfect matchup. It's so flowy. It's just a reminder that tide comes in, tide goes out. Energy changes, energy flows. Nothing is going to stay stagnant for long. Things are going to change. And that's, that can be looked at two ways, right? It's like the bad things aren't going to just stick around and last, but also the good things aren't either. So make sure that you snapshot those.
Yes, appreciate it, be in the moment, soak it up, be present for it.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
I like it too.
I really do. I like it.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I think that's the why though. And you know what?
Yeah.
The why though, rather than explaining all the grumpy, scary, it's really shining the light back on, reminding me of what's to come and what's happening out there.
Yeah, see, even if you have that fear, you've got these things and you're going to be just fine.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, universe, for that beautiful message.
You're welcome.
Oh.
Whoa.
That's so weird. The seance hasn't even started. We're already hearing voices. Isn't that amazing? Oh my gosh. That reminds me of in Beetlejuice. Remember when he's learn to throw your voice? And he's doing this whole thing. So amazing.
So good.
Oh, okay. So now I'm feeling like it's Big Witch energy time.
Big Witch energy. Just made a jingle.
That was beautiful.
Thanks.
You do these cute little, they're so cute. They're so operatic. So as mentioned, our Big Witch energy today is for Midsummer Séance.
Yeah.
So we kind of have, within that, obviously there's two components. There's Midsummer and Séance. They don't naturally necessarily go together, right?
No, they don't. But I'm starting to really see the connection between the two and why we conflated them. And just with our vibe and our setup here, I'm this has, obviously a Séance energy, but it really has a midsummer fire energy to me too.
Absolutely. So, okay, Midsummer is, it's the first day of summer.
Mm-hmm.
It's, roughly June 21st. Mm-hmm. It's also called the Cancer solstice or the summer solstice.
Right.
It's also called Letha, and it is the longest day of the year.
Yeah. And it's actually, I guess, a minor Sabbat, which is interesting because it feels major. It feels like a major minor.
Yes,
right?
I agree. I think it's a major minor. And I think it's a minor because the majors are the equinoxes, which were really the ones that were originally recognized just anciently and stuff.
Right.
And that's also, interestingly, Midsummer is the first day of summer, which kind of seems like, well, why is it called Midsummer? But it's really based on that ancient notion of summer and winter kind of being the two halves of the year.
Exactly.
And
Good
so
point.
Midsummer is the midpoint between spring and fall.
Yes.
Which is this period of summer.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense because people might have been confused by that. I didn't even think about that. That's a really good point.
I have been confused by that before.
It's a major minor
it is.
It's an augmented minor. That's a musician joke. I know. I'm a nerd.
Is that like a maximum elongation?
I mean, it's not as good as that.
Okay. It's all right.
That's way better. Well,
we can't all have maximum elongations.
I mean, no. Venus definitely does, though, especially in Leo.
I totally think so, too. So anyways, Midsummer is the holiday that commemorates or marks this point in the calendar, the astrological year, and just sort of the seasons of our lives.
I love that. These are the seasons of our lives.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's maybe it feels more major because it's super, like you said, it's super ancient and there's like so much associated with it. Like Stonehenge and all these sort of stone circles around the world are associated with Litha or Midsummer. And those are like major surviving pagan and like pre-religious, like tangible things that exist. And it's not just Stonehenge, they're all over the world in different areas of the world too.
Yes, and I think because it's the longest day of the year, it really is a sun celebration.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a celebration of light, represented by fire quite often in some rituals and like the bigger festivals and celebrations that they would have bonfires and kind of those like, it's almost like a wheel of fire that people would like roll down a hill or whatever. Cool. Like it's so cool. I mean, obviously probably dangerous, but probably super cool. So yeah, fire is a big part of the celebration.
Yeah. We actually went to a place that had a sort of Stonehenge-ish structure.
Yes, we did. And
we did that.
When we were visiting, where were we?
Where? Salem, maybe?
Salem, Massachusetts?
I think so.
For Halloween?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And then we went to Salem, New Hampshire.
Yeah, and then we went to somewhere in New Hampshire and saw this. They actually call it America's Stonehenge, which is interesting.
America's Stonehenge. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Which I think is a cool name. It attracted us to it. There were these like ancient stone kind of buildings and markers, and they were lined up with things on they had whole explanations like where the sun set on certain days of the year. Super cool. I would say I've never been to Stonehenge, the actual one. Probably not quite as impressive as that would be.
It's not as sort of, monolithic, but, but
correct.
Still cool.
It was really cool. We were glad we went, and it is just, like you're saying, an example of the way that ancient peoples would mark where the sun was and really try to track that, but also, I think, honor the cycles represented.
It's so amazing because the amount of effort you would have to put in to do that without any type of technology whatsoever is huge, and it just points to like these things are important to us on like a molecular level. It's not just some silly witchy excuse to dance naked around a bonfire, though highly encourage that. Totally do it, but you don't need an excuse to do it. It's like in our genetics, it's in our DNA. We want to track these things and figure out, what they mean and really respond to the energy that's coming up around these times. And, again, maybe that's why it feels like more of a major kind of minor Sabbat too, because of those things.
And I just love how all of the Sabbats really do highlight the cycle that we are in. And we're in large and small cycles all of the time in our lives. Right. And it kind of just highlights that yearly cycle of the longest day of the year. Obviously, after that, the days gradually get shorter up until, the winter season.
Right.
And it's just it is important. It's important to have the sun. And for also like harvest, you know,
Yes.
which is still today, but agriculture is like, you know,
Yeah.
like
Huge.
giant industrial. But when it was like ancient times and you were harvesting for your family and your community,
Yeah.
it was like imperative that you had a good harvest. Everyone would die if you didn't.
Yeah,
So
it's literally life and death.
honoring like the sun is here, it's going to help the plants grow. Like, anyways, I just think it's really awesome. I really like it.
Yeah, I like it too. And I feel like there are a lot of modern ways that you can kind of connect to it, because I feel like sometimes people think like, well, I'm not going to like do a bonfire or like some of these things. Like they think it's like kind of strange, and it's like,
or you really just can't do that.
or you can't.
You know?
Exactly.
Like,
Like
you
you
just
just
kind
don't,
of can't do
you
it.
don't have the option.
Yeah.
But I love sort of what I find I respond to is that harvesting idea. Last year I did a simmer pot, which I feel like is really good because it pulls in the fire energy, but also the abundance when you're adding your ingredients to your simmer pot. But you could even just like literally light a single flame. That's all you have to do, and just kind of like pull that energy into you, whatever you kind of want to say, a mantra, whatever, and like hold that and harvest that into you for like the shorter days and the bleaker days that are coming ahead.
Yes, I love that. I love both of those. There's also this concept of, it's like in yoga, like a sun salutation, which is sort of like a specific move or movement, set of movements. But even if you don't do that specific thing, I think just going out, and if you are able to, on the solstice, on midsummer, either dawn when the sun is coming up, or high noon when the sun is at its highest point in the sky. I think if you just go outside and you can like open your arms up to the sun and let that light be on you, and just be grateful and like soak that in outdoors, like with your physical body, with your intentions. I think something like that is a way to honor this.
100%. That's so easy, and you don't need anything to do that.
Correct.
You just need yourself, and you need to be outside, and you need the sun to be out.
That is also true. If it's still cloudy on that day here, I'm going to be really a depressed witch.
I just don't know. I just don't know.
It also maybe makes us more grateful for when the sun is here, because we really
point.
miss it. We're missing it.
Bad. We're California witches.
I know. And this is like our best holiday out here. I mean, it's not necessarily our favorite in general.
No.
But this is the one that in California we can normally like really
it's gorgeous.
grasp onto.
Oh yeah, I remember I filmed my simmer pot from last year, and I have a reel. Like I remember that day, and I remember how beautiful and gorgeous and just full and abundant and everything, and I was just simmering with it.
Okay, there's a few weeks until then
for
all of this cloud cover to burn off and get into it.
Honestly, to go.
I also just want to make a little quick point that Midsummer is heavily associated with the fae and with fairy population.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think a lot of that is owed to William Shakespeare and A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is a lovely play if you ever have a chance to watch it or see it. And it's also just interesting, I think now the concept of the fae is really like, butterflies and rosebuds and like they're your little, fairy friends. That was not historically how the fae were looked at. No. They were mischievous and naughty and sort of evil, and like you had to really give them offerings and bargain with them to maintain a good relationship with them.
Yep.
So the concept of them has kind of evolved, I think partly also due to Shakespeare and Midsummer Night's Dream, and this holiday is really associated with them because of that as well. But just, a reminder, like, don't take it for granted. Like, be careful. And if you want to leave a little offering out for the fae, I really like doing that too. And that's as simple as like you can put out a plate with like just little amounts of little things, like a few little drops of honey, a little mint leaf, and just leave it out overnight. And, that's a sweet thing to do.
Yeah, I love it. Just be careful.
Yes.
And we've talked a little bit more about the fae in past episodes, so there's some advice for you.
Yeah, and maybe we'll do more of that in the future.
We'll do more. Yeah.
A future episode as well. So that's Midsummer.
It's Midsummer.
Yes.
Love to see it. Light a candle. Get outside. Do what you got to do. Be thankful for the sun. We will certainly be super thankful that day if we are blessed with its presence.
100%.
My word. All right.
Woo! So now getting to the second portion of this seance.
Lots of big witch energy today.
Lots of big witch energy for this seance. Okay, so what is a seance?
What is a seance? It sounds so fancy. That's what I love about it. Seance.
It has an accent on the E.
Yeah, it's an accent. It's French. It's just very like, seance. Yeah, sounds fancy.
But what it actually means is sitting. It's
not that fancy.
Sitting. But it's a specific kind of sitting.
It's a specific kind of sitting.
It is a sitting to contact the other side.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And the other side can mean a great many things. But, again, hearkening back to what we just touched on with Midsummer and sort of the ancient nature of it and everything, a seance, a concept of a seance, is also an extremely ancient practice. Peoples since the dawn of time have been attempting to contact and get in touch with those who have passed on.
Yes.
Or the other side of the veil, the spirit world, whatever you want to call it. It's been a pursuit of humankind.
Yes, and I think it just has to do with sort of the existential unknown of what happens when someone has died. And the very natural, I think, desire to find out, but also to be able to be in contact again with someone that you miss, that you loved, that has left.
Absolutely. And in that way, when we describe it like that, I hope it makes you feel this way. It definitely reassures me and makes me feel this way. There's nothing terrifying or scary about it. That's such a natural urge. I think when we start attaching names and things, sometimes people get nervous, but just understand, like, this is something just like the peoples that built Stonehenge. Like, this is also something that has been important to people since before you were even a speck of dust.
Exactly. It's ancient human stuff.
Yeah.
So I think there is a stereotype of a seance.
Sure.
That we hold nowadays. And that is really based on specific practices of how to conduct one of these ceremonies, if you will.
Right.
That really rose out of the spiritualist movement.
Yes. Spiritualism. Welcome to school.
Yeah, and this is spiritualism with a capital S, everybody.
Right.
So what that really is, it's sort of evolved into like a religious belief, but it wasn't essentially a religious belief in and of itself to begin with. But it's really just the idea and the belief that spirit exists apart from physical body.
Right.
And that spirit can be communicated with.
Absolutely. Which is another, that's another really ancient idea, and it appears in ancient religious texts and everything like that. This isn't a new concept, but yes, like this spiritualism movement that came around the late 19th century, that's really where it like peaked into this like kind of, I don't want to say frenzy, but it's like
no, but it was like a fad, and it was popular.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of two components to this in my mind. One is that there's really like a very specific family and time period that spiritualism in this way that we're talking about it can be traced back to. So this was in 1884. These two sisters called the Fox sisters, which is amazing. Their last name is Fox. I love that. There's a whole long backstory to it, but basically they started to claim that their house was haunted,
right,
and that they could communicate with the spirit by like these knockings and like sounds in their house. So neighbors and the townspeople started to come over to witness this, and the sisters would give sort of demonstrations of how they were communicating with spirits. So it became very sensationalized, and then it kind of started popping up in different places, and you could go and research this if you want. It's pretty interesting. We don't have time to get into the entire story, but those poor sisters, at different points later on after that, admitted to it being fake, but then recanted that and said, no, we were forced to say it was fake. It wasn't actually fake. And they became very rich from a lot of this. Yeah. They would do shows and things like that. But then they died like penniless and like alcoholics. And it's like so sad, But it really gave rise to this whole movement, which then had another revival after World War One, like in the 20s. And this was super interesting to me too, is that it's really, the history of that is like after World War One, where there were how many millions of deaths.
Yes, exactly.
And after the 1918 influenza pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Yep, just tons of deaths.
Tons of deaths, and people were very interested in trying to find out if they could contact people who had died.
Exactly. Yeah, it's such a great kind of like, when you look back at the history of it, like it's such a great story. It's like these teen girls set the trend, which, duh.
Yeah, fangirls on top of it.
The teen girls know, okay? They just do. And everyone was like, oh, okay. And then, yeah, when you look at kind of those time periods, and like it makes sense. And like with technology, you know, coming to a head, and like science being on the rise, and people really putting more research into it.
But still in its infancy, really.
Still in its infancy, but like people paying a little bit more attention to like what is scientific, what does that mean, what is evidentiary, you know, what are these things aside from just faith. And like they both coexisted, but it was this really interesting mashup of the two of those things. And sort of like, well, we want to believe, but we need some evidence. And is there a scientific way to kind of prove this? And like, maybe there is. And if we try these things, maybe we can prove it. And it makes sense sociologically too, you know, like you said, I mean, wanting to have that evidence of, you know, what did this all mean? What did we go through these wars and, you know, this pandemic and everything? What did we do that for? Is there
some meaning or something to get out of it?
Exactly. So yeah, it makes sense in that context, and it just adds just a depth to it, because I think when people talk about sort of the spiritualism movement or just seances in general, it's kind of a shallow, like, oh, you know, that's just parlor tricks or parlor games. It doesn't really mean anything. It meant a lot, actually, though.
Yes, no, I think you're absolutely right. And at the same time, a lot of it was parlor tricks.
Yep.
And it was like, hey, what are you doing Friday? We're having a seance at my mom's house. And everyone would go. And
it's fun.
It sounds super fun. So I think it's, again, this coexistence, like you're saying, of like this kind of really deep, like human need to find meaning, but also this like, ooh, this is popular and trendy and like, this is fun, you know? But then there were lots of people who unfortunately took advantage.
Oh yeah, they're going to show up to commodify things when things are popular.
Yes.
You're always going to see that. So yeah,
so like the grieving widow who's desperate to get in contact with her son who died in the war, and then someone's, you know, coming into town like, if you pay me this money.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they would have basically like tricks set up to make noises, and like sort of classics are like bells ringing or knocking, or even like materializations where the spirit would materialize, but it would be like behind a curtain, or, you know, one of these kind of things.
Yes.
Which I think also is memorialized in the Disneyland Haunted Mansion ride, if you've ever been there and seen that.
So cool.
Yeah, it is really cool.
Yeah.
But another just interesting thing too, so like stage magicians.
Yes, I was just going to mention that, yeah.
Yes, they were up in arms about this.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Because magicians were like, we have this craft where we are knowingly like creating these illusions for people for entertainment. And then this whole other branch of people start saying, no, it's real, it's real. And so the magicians were like setting out to prove and reveal the secrets of why the seance spiritualist things weren't actually real. So you have like layer upon layer of people trying to prove this is real. No, this isn't real. And this is the evidence for it. And no, there's not. And like you were saying, all of these kinds of just society level things interplaying.
Oh, absolutely. And class and gender and all of that too, because, you know, a lot of times these things, like it started with two teenage girls. I mean, that in and of itself says something right there, and just the ways in which, you know, this is going to be subjugated, and the ways in which men are going to try to like control it or prove that it's not real, or prove that, you know, they actually have the power, but, you know, these people don't. And if they tell you this, it's not true. But if they tell you that, it's true. And yeah, just this really interesting kind of interplay that started then and has never gone away.
Absolutely. And so back to sort of, I want to say like this almost stereotypical image of what a seance looks like. So I think it's like a round table and there's however many people, and you're supposed to hold hands. One
Right.
person's leading it. It often involves a Ouija board.
Yes.
Nowadays, anyways. And sort of everyone concentrating and manifesting energy, and then asking questions or giving a method for the spirit to communicate back.
Right.
Of like either the Ouija board, like moving it to spell letters, or sometimes having like a bell
Like
or an
you said,
object
yeah.
or something. And then asking questions and trying to get like basically yes or no kind of answers. I don't know how many people are holding seances nowadays.
Yeah, I don't either. I see them pop up, but
We've been to one.
we went to one. Yeah, we went to one. This is like Dumb Witch Club, like fetus Dumb Witch Club.
Oh, yes.
Like literal. If you go back, way back, in our catalog, we talk about our experience with attending this seance. We went to the Muckenthaler Cultural Center in Fullerton, California, not too far from where we live, and they were holding a seance, and so we thought, oh, that'd be cool, just to try this out. And we went, and, there was a man that held it, and, he described himself as a medium, I'm pretty sure. I can't exactly remember what
he has like one of these like PhDs in parapsychology.
That's right.
So he is doctor, whatever, but I don't remember his name.
That's right. We interacted with him.
We spoke with him quite a bit at length, and
Yes.
I was selected from the audience to be at the seance table.
Yes.
So it was
and I
very
have
fascinating.
video of that. I have audio of that. Some of that is up on our channel. So go ahead and scroll back. It's like back October, like last year. And you can see some of sort of the classic ways that they structured it and what they did. And then some of the more modern introductions into things. And then the whole night, I feel like, was sort of that, like, there was classic elements.
Yes.
And then there were modern, because they had a team of ghost hunters there.
Yes.
With modern equipment, and sort of, okay, that's not a traditional seance, but, that is a way that people are sort of doing this same practice.
Yes, kind of carrying forward like those ghost hunters and that type of thing, like carrying forward this idea that we would like to collect evidence or proof of life after death, or communicating with spirits, or whatever. So in a modern sense, spiritualism, as we were describing, I don't think most people use that term anymore or would identify as a spiritualist.
Right.
But clearly, like psychic mediums, and they're popularized on television and just, elsewhere. You can hire those people.
Sure.
But you always want to be a little wary of hiring people for certain things. But it does exist. And I think now it's more what we call mental spiritualism. It's not so much like, oh, we're going to make this candelabra fly across the room and hear these bells and have the table thump. It's more like messages mentally that the medium receives and then can pass on to you.
Yeah, exactly. And there's, in recent years, there's given rise to very, like, charismatic people in that realm.
Indeed.
So, and again, like we were talking about before, whenever there's buy-in,
maybe a good dose of fear
might be helpful to you.
Might be helpful.
In discerning what, again, like, all of this is interwoven with belief systems and, some religions, some not science, some not science. You really just have to, as we always say on Dumb Witch Club, go back to your intuition and what you really feel, is being said to you, and understanding that you're the expert. You're the expert. You don't really need to pay anyone to be an expert for you.
Definitely. And I think the only last note that I have, unless you have something else.
Just one.
Ah, yes. Oh, please do.
And I just wanted to, just recommend and also just call out this as a text that, like, some of our information came from. It's called Calling the Spirits, A History of Seances. It is by Lisa Morton. Lisa Morton is amazing. She's so knowledgeable. She's been in this realm and talks about ghost hunting and mediumship and everything, just all of that kind of stuff. She has forever. She's super studied. And this is a great book if you want to read a little bit more about the history and leading up to modern times. Definitely check out this book by Elisa.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad that you remembered to show that. That is amazing. And I'm also glad because my last note is really silly and dumb. And it really is just like, are we gonna have a seance or no? Like, what is all this for?
Yeah, man.
I thought we were having a seance.
We can't waste all of this.
So while we do that, I will say, until next time.
Stay witchy, friends.
Stay dumb.
Dumb Witch Club is written and produced by us, Ashley Sidner.
And Jackie Gerard at the Dumb Witch Clubhouse in Orange County, California.
Produced and edited by Matt Heinemeyer. Creative Director and Culture Consultant, Violet Turner.
Original music by Ashley Sidner. And look us up on all your favorite social media platforms, including Patreon.
Until next time, stay witchy, friends.
And stay dumb.